There's so many crazy changes going on, and all these teams are getting shaken up. I'm just really excited for LCS.
On CLG, I've finally been given the opportunity to shine and prove to everyone that I'm not just some player that's been overhyped.
I want to do this year the way that I should have done it my first year and just not really have any regrets.
I've been wanting this ever since there's been LCS. I needed to drop everything to try and go professional. Here we are.
저는 1부 리그 대회 아직 나온 적은 없지만 이번 기회에 이름을 알릴 좋은 기회라 생각해서 좋은 성적을 낼 생각입니다.
When we got relegated, I felt kind of down, but I knew that I could definitely make it back. Luckily, Gravity picked me up as a new AD.
There's definitely big shoes coming in to replace High. We might start out a bit slow, but I think by the end of the season, we will be one of the best, if not the best team in NA.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to opening day of the North American League Championship Series Summer Split. Now we're back in Los Angeles in front of this fired-up crowd to bring you the next chapter in the LCS. Crepo will be happy. We've got Bard in the house and a lot of fans out there wearing their team pride. And, of course, here's Incarnation getting in a little practice time before making his debut in the NALCS. That's going to be up against TSM, Santorin, Loco Doco making their way to their stage earlier. They have some redemption on their minds after a showing at MSI that was not as well as they had hoped. Hello, everyone. I'm James Dash Patterson, and it's great to have you with us as new teams, new players, as well as a slew of veteran faces take to the stage today. And joining me on the analyst desk, we've got Aiden Zyrene Moon, Sam Kobe Hartman Kensler, and David Freak Turley. Gentlemen, a whole nother split of LCS coming our way. You guys ready?
Oh, yeah.
Good morning. Give me like 20 minutes for the first game.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a 20-minute break while Freak gets ready for the North American LCS. No, we've got a few new squads joining the LCS this split. So here are the 10 teams that will be competing in North America. Enemy Esports was automatically qualified after their first place finish in the Spring Challenger Series. Then Team Dragon Knights defeated Winter Fox to claim their spot. And gentlemen, the split hasn't even started yet, but it feels like some of the teams at the top of the table already have a lot to prove here.
You must be talking about TSM, of course. You mentioned MSI. They had an honestly embarrassing performance at an international event, which is what they wanted to focus completely on as a team. You know, their early game was lackluster. Almost every single game, they had a deficit by like 10 minutes. So there's a lot of things that TSM are out to prove here. They also had problems adapting, which is something that we've tracked with this team for a very long time. But even to one new champion, even on stage with their coach there, having a hard time trying to adapt to things, and then in-game as well, the team also not able to do that. So definitely a lot of things for TSM to prove once they're back on home soil in North America and they feel a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, and the team I want to talk about, Enemy, new to the league. They haven't even had to play against an LCS team yet for their spot because they got that auto promotion. And we've seen in the past, being successful in Challenger doesn't always translate to being successful in the LCS. And I'm really always interested to see how they stack up. Inox in the mid lane, coming back as a mid laner this time instead of a top laner, he's shown that he can adapt to different champions, and the team is really built around him. And he looks like a completely different player now. He seems so much happier on this team, and he seems to be more motivated as well. He has a good say in what they do, and Enemy, I think, is a team we need to look out for, and I think they're going to end at least top 5.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think Enemy's going to do pretty well, but the other challenger team that's coming in this split, TDK, I think it's a very different story for them. So bad news first, they're missing 3 of their starters for at least the first week, possibly much longer. So they've got new mid laner, new AD carry, new support, all coming up from the Challenger scene. Teams that actually failed in the Challenger qualifier, so they're like even kind of the bottom dregs there in a certain way. Oh, I mean they're good. They're good players, but like there's a reason these guys. In the bucket. But they're the best of what they can do, right? They're missing 2 Koreans and a Canadian player who don't have visas yet. It's a rough situation for TDK.
The good news for TDK is at least they've got like the core that made them good, which is Seraph in the top lane. Seraph has gotten so much better since his time on Counter Logic Gaming. He's actually playing a carry style. His Nidalee is stupid good. It like hard carries games where his team's down 12 kills, but they still win. Like Seraph's the real deal here. They've got Kez for some jungle synergy, and they've got to like build the team up from square one, which is going to be a really rough road ahead for TDK.
And we have seen teams that had to start LCS split with a bunch of subs have success with those subs before too. So there's possibility that they could win some games.
Sure, and if you hit on 20, sometimes you get 21. I'm not saying it's going to be likely, though.
Yeah, and I had to sandwich that with some more bad news, because when they get back, they didn't really play with Emperor and Ninja in the first place, so they have to get that synergy going. So this team is not going to come online till at least week 4. So right now, we pretty much just get to judge Kez and Seraph and what their synergy is like for these first few weeks. So hold off on reservations.
Tough couple weeks ahead for this team, maybe. But in addition to trying to conquer the North American LCS, teams will be looking ahead to Worlds. So let's see how the teams are stacked up on the championship point leaderboard. Team Solo Mid finished the spring split in first and banked 90 points, followed by Cloud9 with 70 and Team Liquid with 50. Now, the team that finishes the summer split in first automatically qualifies for Worlds, while the second berth goes to the team with the most championship points. The final spot goes to the winner of a regional qualifier, which is seeded by, you guessed it, championship points. So they become incredibly important for teams with international aspirations. Now let's move to today's schedule. Up first, it's a replay of our spring finals with Cloud9 versus defending champions Team Solo Mid. Then Team Dragon Knights will take on Team Liquid, followed by Counter Logic Gaming versus Team Dignitas. Now, there's always a lot of shuffling between splits, so who are some of the players that you guys are going to be looking at this first week?
First one for me, CLG's new mid laner, Pobelter. I have so much belief in this guy. It feels like every single split, we're like, all right, CLG, this is the split, all right. But Pobelter is super good. I think he's top 3 mid laners in the NALCS right now. Belter, though, for his entire career so far in the NALCS, he's been on Evil Geniuses and Winter Fox, teams he can't really rely on, teams where his other lanes are losing, and he's like one of the sole carries here. Pobelter has a good team now. He said CLG was, quote, they're way better at like everything, comparing them to Winter Fox. So Belter on a good team now. I want to see what changes with Pobelter, and I want to see what changes with CLG.
And of course, one of his former teammates, Altec, found himself on a new team this split as well.
Yeah, and unlike the Pobelter change, I think Altec is more of a side grade. So the reason that Altec is on Gravity right now is that Cop retired. And Cop's actually very, very good as a player, but he wanted to go do something else. Cop's now coaching the team anyway. But Altec is roughly as good as Cop, I would say. And now he's got to work out, okay, how do I land with Bunny Fufu? How does Gravity do with their new jungler move? It's a sort of a growth time for Gravity. But here is Altec, once again, on a good team. Gravity was a playoff team. If Altec wants to prove that he's a top dog, not just a good AD carry, here's the team to prove it.
All right, now I want to move a little bit to another guy who hasn't moved teams. He stayed in the same spot. It's Rush from TIP. Now, this guy, he let me down in the semifinals, but I still love him. Because Rush, in the offseason, he has been nothing but motivated. He hit #1 in Korean solo queue. He dethroned Faker in solo queue over there. And this guy, he is not complacent with his playstyle. He wants to get better constantly. And if MSI taught us anything, it's that being a jungler who waits until the mid game to make moves is not going to cut it. So I think this season, the rookie from last season, a lot of people are going to be watching him and trying to do what he does in the early game. Being proactive, making the first move, because that's going to transition to dominance in the international stage.
All pretty good points. I think that the #1 change to watch is going to be Incarnation. A change to a top 2 team in North America, and a change to one of the biggest, most important roles on that team. Replacing Hai is a really, really big task just because of how much Hai brought to the team. And Incarnation is such a different player from Hai. I'm very excited to see how this affects the overall team, because even with Meteos taking over the shot calling, as they've said many times, he was already starting to do that when Hai was on the team. There are so many things that you get with a solo queue star player when you bring him in, which is what all the hype around Incarnation is from his solo queue, that are different for team play. And this guy has not had any competitive experience at all. This is going to be his first time on stage. They tend to take a lot more risks because the people that get very high in solo queue try and get an advantage and use that advantage to carry the game themselves. They feel a lot of pressure to do things themselves. Hai was a very selfless player. concentrated a lot on vision and a lot on team play. So we'll see how well Incarnation can integrate with those guys.
129 games with the same roster. It's definitely going to be strange watching them take the stage without that same roster. Now, the decision to change the team lineup did not come lightly for Cloud9 and took an emotional toll on the close-knit group. But ultimately, they believe the change will have a positive impact